Final boarding call for Flight 1867 to San Francisco. The announcement echoes through O'Hare's Terminal C as Viola Richardson calculates the brutal math of the moment. Behind her, the gate to her career-defining interview, the VP position she's sacrificed 5 years of her life pursuing. Before her, an elderly white man collapsed against a pillar, gasping for breath, ignored by the rush of travelers. "My heart medication," he wheezes, clutching his chest. "Left it at home." Viola checks her watch. Boarding ends in 3 minutes. She's beaten 200 other candidates to reach this final interview round. This is her one shot to break the glass ceiling at Cortland Media, to prove wrong everyone who's ever underestimated her. The gate agent makes the last call for her name. The old man's breathing grows more labored. She has exactly 10 seconds to decide what kind of person she truly is. Viola Richardson's alarm cuts through the darkness at 5 o'clock a.m. She stretches in her studio apartment, small but stylish, with framed vintage fashion sketches on the walls. On her nightstand sits a photo of her grandmother Eleanor, the first black teacher at her South Side school back in 1963. "Another day in the trenches," she mutters, pressing the button on her pour-over coffee setup, the one luxury she allows herself despite her tight budget. Her morning routine is a well-choreographed dance. By 5:45, she's reviewing her presentation for Cortland Media one last time. This interview is her ticket out of Pinnacle Creative, where she's been spinning her wheels for 5 years. A LinkedIn notification catches her eye. Daniel Westfield, SVP Cortland Media, has viewed your profile. Curious, Viola clicks through. Yale MBA. Summer home in the Hamptons. She scrolls through his photos and freezes on one. Westfield on a yacht with 5 other executives. All men, all white. "Of course," she says, closing her laptop with a snap. At Pinnacle's gleaming downtown office, Viola organizes materials for the morning's Astoria pitch, her biggest project this quarter. She's spent weekends perfecting it, creating a campaign that could transform the client's market position. Tyler, a recent college grad with a trust fund and connections, strolls in 40 minutes late, designer coffee in hand. "Morning, V." His perfect teeth gleam. "Ready for the big pitch?" And before she can answer, Craig Donovan, creative director and master of failing upward, appears in the doorway. "Tyler, just who I wanted to see. Let's talk Astoria strategy before the call." Viola stands. "Craig, I've been leading the Astoria campaign for 3 months. I've created the entire—" "And we appreciate that groundwork," Craig interrupts without making eye contact. "But Tyler's got a fresh perspective that might resonate better with their team. He'll mention your contribution." As they walk away, Tyler at least has the decency to look uncomfortable. Viola's phone vibrates, her grandmother's best friend, Loretta. "Just checking you're still coming to Sunday dinner? Making your grandma's sweet potato pie." "Wouldn't miss it, Auntie Lo." "Good, because Darius is coming. My nephew who just made partner. Still single." Her voice sings with suggestion. Viola laughs despite herself. "I'll be there, but right now my focus is this VP position at Cortland." The place that's never had a black person in senior leadership? That's why they need me. Just like Pinnacle needed you for 5 years while promoting everyone else? This is different. I've made it to final 3 candidates. And you deserve it. Just remember what Eleanor always said. Excellence is your entrance fee, but they still might try to charge you double. Viola finishes. After hanging up, an email from Cortland pops up. Her final interview is scheduled in San Francisco, requiring expensive last-minute travel. She calculates the cost against her savings with a grimace. That afternoon, Craig drops by her desk. "Viola, I need the Brightwave concepts by tomorrow instead of Friday." "That's 2 days earlier than—" Johnson moved up the timeline. He shrugs. "By the way, Tyler crushed the Astoria presentation. Client loved it." As he walks away, Viola's colleague Zoe leans over. "He presented your entire deck, word for word, slide for slide." "Of course he did." Viola checks her watch. 7:30 p.m. Another late night ahead. Near midnight, she finally boards the train home. A Cortland media advertisement catches her eye, their latest campaign that industry blogs are calling revolutionary. Her portfolio contains 3 similar concepts that Craig rejected as too ambitious. In her apartment, she carefully places an Ella Fitzgerald record on her grandmother's vintage turntable, her most treasured possession. The warm sound fills the space as she reviews her interview preparation. Her mother texts, "So proud of you, baby. Your grandma always said you'd break through those glass ceilings." Viola stares at Eleanor's photo. The woman had faced daily threats just to teach, yet never wavered. She'd worked summer jobs well into her 70s to put Viola through college. "I'm trying, Grandma," she whispers. Her laptop pings with a new email. Subject line, Cortland Media, interview schedule change. Viola's stomach tightens as she clicks to open it, bracing for another setback. The email is just a room change, not the disaster Viola feared. She exhales, but the relief is brief. The past week has thrown one obstacle after another in her path. Her credit card was declined when booking the flight. She'd hit her limit with recent car repairs. She had to drain her emergency fund, leaving it dangerously low. Then Craig dumped an urgent project on her desk, due the same day as her Cortland prep call. She worked through 2 nights to finish both. Yesterday, her Brightwave presentation mysteriously vanished from the server. Craig's apology didn't sound sincere. These things happen. Thank God she'd backed it up on her personal laptop. Now, Viola reviews her Cortland research one more time. Their recent campaigns, competitors, market position, she's memorized it all. For a black woman in advertising, good isn't good enough. She has to be flawless. Her phone rings. Unknown number. "Hello? Ms. Richardson? Veronica Dale, Daniel Westfield's assistant at Cortland." Viola sits up straighter. "Yes? Mr. Westfield would like a video call with you this afternoon, a preliminary chat before your in-person interview." She knows the other candidates aren't getting this extra screening, but she says, "Of course, I'm available." Excellent. 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Viola cancels her dental appointment and skips lunch to prepare. At 4:28, she logs into the video platform. At 4:42, Westfield finally appears, walking with his phone, clearly not treating this as a priority. "Viola, thanks for your flexibility. Just thought we could chat informally before you fly out." "Happy to, Mr. Westfield." "Daniel, please." His smile doesn't reach his eyes. "So, Pinnacle's a decent mid-tier agency. What makes you think you're ready for Cortland?" The subtext is clear. Viola maintains her professional smile. "My Brightwave and Elysian campaigns increased client market share by over 20%. I've consistently outperformed with fewer resources than my peers at larger agencies. That demonstrates not just readiness, but proven excellence." Westfield's eyebrows lift slightly. "Fair enough, but Cortland's culture is unique. Not everyone fits in." "Could you elaborate on specific cultural elements you're concerned about?" Viola asks, her tone pleasant but firm. Westfield looks momentarily thrown off balance. "Just wondering how you'd handle directness. Discussions get heated. I value direct communication when paired with mutual respect." The conversation continues for 20 uncomfortable minutes, Westfield probing for weaknesses, Viola deflecting with poise and substance. Finally, he says, "Well, I look forward to meeting in person. Safe travels." The video ends. Viola exhales slowly, then sees a text from Zoe. "Craig looking for you. Seems pissed." The night before her flight, Viola is still at the office, finalizing her Cortland presentation when her mother calls. "You're still coming to Sunday dinner, right? Pastor Williams' family will be there." "Mom, I'll be in San Francisco for the Cortland interview. I've told you 3 times. That's this weekend? But we planned this dinner weeks ago. And I've been talking about this interview for just as long." Viola keeps her voice level. This is my shot, Mom. There'll be other jobs. Family comes first. The guilt trip stings, but Viola stands firm. This is for our family, too. For everything Grandma sacrificed for my education. After hanging up, she notices a notification from Cortland. Travel reimbursement policy update. They'll only reimburse flights booked through their portal. Viola already purchases her ticket directly, using most of her savings. Now she'll have to pay for the hotel up front, too. Her phone rings. Pinnacle's number. It's 11:30 p.m. Viola speaking? It's Craig. Brightwave hates the concepts. We need a complete overhaul by 9 a.m. That's impossible. I'm flying to an interview at Cortland? Yeah, word gets around. Either the new concepts are in my inbox by 9, or we'll discuss your priorities at Pinnacle. The threat hangs in the air. Flight day arrives and Viola hasn't slept. She delivered the revised concepts at 8:57 a.m. and is now throwing clothes into her suitcase with burning eyes. Her phone pings. Unusual activity alert. Someone tried to use her credit card for a $2,000 purchase. The bank has frozen the card as precaution. After 40 minutes on hold, her card is reactivated, but she'll have no access to credit for 24 hours, until after she's already in San Francisco. The universe seems determined to stop her. The elevator in her building breaks. Outside, it's pouring. 3 rideshare drivers in a row cancel when they see her predominantly black neighborhood as the pickup location. When she finally reaches O'Hare, soaked and exhausted, the check-in kiosk displays. Seat assignment changed. Her carefully selected aisle seat near the front has been moved to a middle seat in the last row. The flight's oversold, the gate agent says without looking up. Seat assignments were adjusted based on status level. I specifically booked that seat weeks ago. Yes, well, these things happen. The dismissive tone speaks volumes. You're fortunate to have a seat at all. As Viola walks away, she notices a white businessman getting profuse apologies for the same issue and being immediately reseated in first class. Finding a quiet corner, she reviews her presentation one last time. Her phone buzzes. Auntie Lo. Just calling to wish you luck, baby. Your grandma would be right here cheering you on. Viola's tension eases slightly. Thanks. I'm nervous. Eleanor used to say nervousness is just excitement without the smile. Viola smiles despite herself. She did say that. You've worked too hard to let anything stop you now. Remember what happened when they tried to keep her from teaching at that school? She showed up anyway, every day for 2 weeks until they gave her a classroom. That's right. Richardson women don't take no for an answer. Before boarding, Viola notices a security officer harassing a young black man with a camera. I'm a professional photographer. I have permits, he protests. Sure you do, the officer sneers, confiscating the expensive Leica M6, worth thousands. Despite knowing better, Viola approaches. Excuse me, officer. That's a professional Leica M6 camera. I recognized it from the Ansel Adams exhibition at the Art Institute. It's not something used for suspicious photography. The young man looks grateful. The officer scowls. You a lawyer or something? Just an observer noting that professional equipment is being confiscated from someone with permits. The officer reluctantly returns the camera and walks away. Thank you, the young man says. I'm Marcus Davis. You saved all my work. Viola Richardson. Glad I could help. Third time this month, Marcus sighs. Never happens to white photographers. Anything I can do to return the favor? Just pay it forward sometime. Returning to her seat, Viola checks the departure board. Her flight is delayed 45 minutes. With the new schedule, she'll have barely 6 hours to sleep before her interview. Her phone vibrates with a text. Viola, Daniel Westfield here. Need to move our interview 90 minutes earlier tomorrow. 7:30 a.m., only time that works with board meetings. Confirm okay? With the delay, she'll land past midnight. The new interview time means almost no sleep. She confirms anyway. As boarding finally begins, Viola gathers her belongings. That's when she notices the elderly man slumped against a pillar, gasping for breath, ignored by everyone rushing past. Final boarding call for Flight 1867 to San Francisco. The announcement echoes as Viola stands frozen between her career dream and a stranger fighting for air. Sir, stay with me. Viola kneels beside the elderly man, whose breathing grows increasingly labored. His eyes, cloudy blue beneath bushy white brows, struggle to focus. My heart medicine, he manages. Left it, home in Evanston. Viola flags down a passing airport employee. We need medical assistance. Ambulance is at least 15 minutes out, the employee says after making a call. We're short-staffed today. The final boarding call for Flight 1867 blares overhead. Viola's phone buzzes with a text from Westfield. Circling back, 7:30 a.m. interview time works? The old man clutches Viola's hand. No hospitals, too expensive, just need my pills. Nitroglycerin, at home. Where in Evanston? Viola asks, making a decision that feels both impossible and inevitable. Maple Street, 1042. His breathing is shallow. Key under Turtle, by porch. Viola turns to the airport employee. Can someone stay with him until I get back? Back from where? I'm going to get his medication. The employee looks doubtful. That's at least an hour round trip with traffic. Better than waiting for an ambulance that's 15 minutes away just to start. Viola stands, decision made. Sir, what's your name? Walter. Walter Griffin. I'm Viola. I'll be back as soon as I can, Walter. Hang tight. She quickly books a rideshare to Evanston, watching her flight status change to final boarding, then departed gate. There goes her dream job interview. There goes 5 years of working toward this moment. But the alternative, leaving Walter gasping for breath while she boards her flight, isn't something she can live with. The ride to Evanston takes 35 excruciating minutes through Chicago traffic. The modest house at 1042 Maple Street has a well-tended garden despite the owner's age. Viola finds the ceramic turtle by the steps and retrieves the key. Inside, the home is neat but lived in. Black and white photographs line the walls, many showing a younger Walter in what appears to be a darkroom or photography studio. Viola heads to the kitchen where she finds a pill organizer labeled with days of the week. She grabs it along with a bottle of nitroglycerin from the counter. As she turns to leave, a framed photograph on the refrigerator catches her eye. Walter, decades younger, standing beside a striking black woman in a 1960s photographer's studio. They're both laughing, comfortable with each other in a way that would have been rare in that era. Below the photo, a yellowed newspaper clipping is pinned with a magnet. The headline reads, Local Photographer's Civil Rights Images Acquired by Smithsonian. Viola doesn't have time to read more, but something about the photograph stays with her as she rushes back to her rideshare. At O'Hare, she finds Walter still waiting, now attended by a reluctant-looking security officer. His color is worse. Walter, I've got your medicine. She kneels beside him, opening the pill organizer and nitroglycerin bottle. Under tongue, Walter manages. Viola helps administer the nitroglycerin tablet. I'm calling an ambulance, the security officer says. No. Walter's voice is stronger already as the medicine takes effect. Sir, airport policy. He said no hospitals, Viola interrupts firmly. The medicine is working. Let's respect his wishes. After 15 tense minutes, Walter's breathing normalizes. Color returns to his face. Thank you, he says, voice steadier. You missed your flight. Viola checks her phone. 8:47 p.m. Flight 1867 departed 40 minutes ago. No more flights to San Francisco tonight. It's okay, she lies. It wasn't important. Walter studies her face. You're a terrible liar, young lady. Viola laughs despite herself. That bad, huh? Where were you headed? What did I make you miss? She hesitates, then admits, a job interview. In San Francisco tomorrow morning. Walter's eyes widen. An important one, I am guessing. VP position. Would have doubled my salary, put me in the C-suite pipeline. Viola shrugs, attempting nonchalance. There'll be other opportunities. Not many like that, I'd wager. Walter struggles to stand. Viola helps him up. Let me call my grandson. He can drive me home. I'll wait with you until he arrives. While they wait, Walter insists on hearing about the missed opportunity. Viola explains about Cortland Media, the 3-round interview process, beating out hundreds of candidates. Advertising, eh? Creative director? VP of Creative Strategy, overseeing campaigns, pitching to major clients, leading the creative vision. Walter nods thoughtfully. I was a photographer most of my life. Worked with ad agencies occasionally. Tough business. Especially when you don't fit the usual executive profile. Viola doesn't elaborate, but Walter's eyes show understanding. A well-dressed black man in his early 30s approaches them. Grandpa, what happened? Forgot my heart pills, Marcus. This kind young lady saved me a trip to the ER. Viola's eyes widen in recognition. Marcus? From earlier? With the camera? Marcus Davis looks equally surprised. The woman who stood up to security! Wait, you're the one who helped my grandfather? Your grandfather? Viola looks between them. Walter chuckles. Marcus is my grandson through marriage. His grandmother, my late wife, Esther, and I were married for 42 years. Marcus shakes his head in disbelief. You helped me, then helped my grandfather, all while missing your flight to a major job interview? I don't even know what to say. Like I told you earlier, pay it forward sometime. Walter pats Viola's hand. What's your full name, young lady? Viola Richardson. Something flickers in Walter's eyes. Richardson? Any relation to Eleanor Richardson, teacher from Southside? Viola stares, stunned. She was my grandmother. How did you... Walter exchanges a look with Marcus before answering. Let's just say our paths crossed many years ago. Chicago's smaller than people think. He pulls out a business card from his wallet. Call me tomorrow. I have something that might interest you. The airport hotel room is depressingly beige. Viola sits on the edge of the bed, staring at her phone. She sent an apologetic email to Cortland HR explaining a family emergency, but hasn't received a response. Her savings account is dangerously low after booking this last-minute room. What would Grandma say? She murmurs, fingering Eleanor's gold pen. The answer comes immediately. Do what's right, then figure out the rest. Her phone rings. Auntie Lo. How'd the interview go, baby? Viola hesitates, then admits, I didn't make it. Had to help someone having a medical emergency. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. It's fine. I'll be back in Chicago tomorrow. You don't sound fine. Just tired. Viola changes the subject. The strangest thing happened, though. The man I helped, he knew Grandma Eleanor. Really? What's his name? Walter Griffin. He's a photographer. A long silence follows. Loretta? Walter Griffin, Loretta repeats slowly. Walter Griffin knew your grandmother? Yes. Does that mean something to you? Baby, Walter Griffin isn't just any photographer. He documented the civil rights movement in Chicago. His photographs were in Life magazine, The Chicago Defender. His work is in the Smithsonian now. Viola remembers the newspaper clipping on Walter's refrigerator. He gave me his card, said to call him. Then you call him, first thing tomorrow. After hanging up, Viola examines the card. Simple white stock with elegant black text. Walter Griffin, Griffin Media Group. Below, an address in downtown Chicago. Griffin Media Group. She quickly searches the name online. Her jaw drops as the results load. Griffin Media isn't just any company. It's a media conglomerate that owns dozens of publishing houses, film studios, and... She stares at the screen in disbelief. 4 months ago, Griffin Media had acquired Cortland Media Group. The man whose life she saved owns the company where she was interviewing. Morning comes after a restless night. Viola dresses in her interview suit, might as well get some use out of it, and calls the number on Walter's card. Griffin Media Group, how may I direct your call? This is Viola Richardson for Walter Griffin. One moment, please. Walter's voice comes on the line, stronger than yesterday. Viola, I was hoping you'd call. How are you? Better than yesterday. How are you feeling? Much better, thanks to you. Listen, I'd like to meet with you today, if possible. There's something I want to discuss. I can be available. I'm flying back to Chicago this afternoon. Perfect. Can you come to my office at 10? The address is on my card. 3 hours later, Viola stands before the gleaming Griffin Media building in downtown Chicago. The security guard checks her ID, then smiles. Mr. Griffin is expecting you. Top floor. The elevator opens directly into a reception area where a young woman greets her. Ms. Richardson? Mr. Griffin is waiting for you in the conference room. Viola follows her through glass doors into a sleek conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan. Walter rises from his chair, looking remarkably recovered. Viola, thank you for coming. He gestures to the table where several folders are spread out. Please, sit down. She takes a seat, hyper-aware of her wrinkled interview suit. I'm glad you're feeling better. Thanks to you. Walter sits across from her. Marcus told me about how you helped him with that security guard, too. Not many people would step in like that. Viola shrugs. It was the right thing to do. Twice in one day? That's more than coincidence. That's character. Walter opens one of the folders. I did some research after we parted. Your work at Pinnacle is impressive. The Elysian campaign particularly caught my attention. You researched me? I did. And I made some calls this morning. Walter slides a document across the table. Your boss, Craig Donovan. Not a fan of yours, is he? Viola tenses. We have different creative approaches. Different approaches? Or is it that he takes credit for your work while ensuring you stay in a subordinate position? She doesn't answer, which is answer enough. I knew your grandmother, Viola. Eleanor Richardson was an extraordinary woman. In 1963, I was a young photographer documenting school integration on the South Side, the hostility she faced daily. Walter shakes his head. But she never wavered. Her dignity under fire was something to behold. He pulls out a black and white photograph. Eleanor, young and determined, walking into a school building while white protesters lined the sidewalk. I took this the day they tried to block her from entering. She walked straight through them, head high. Viola stares at the image, throat tight. I've never seen this photo. Few have. It was too dangerous then to publish it with her name, but it changed minds, Viola. It helped change Chicago. Walter takes a deep breath. I'm not a sentimental old man. Not entirely, anyway. Griffin Media didn't become what it is through sentimentality. But when I saw your name, heard how you helped Marcus, then me, at your own expense, it felt like coming full circle. He slides another document across the table. Viola reads the letterhead. Griffin Media Group, executive position offer. What is this? Cortland Media is a Griffin subsidiary. The position you were interviewing for? It reports to our executive creative director, who reports to me. Walter taps the document. I'm offering you a position that's 2 levels higher. Executive Vice President of Creative Strategy for Griffin Media Group, overseeing not just Cortland, but all our creative divisions. Viola stares at the salary figure, nearly triple what she currently makes. Is this because I helped you? Because if it's charity, it's because you're extraordinarily qualified, and because I recognize talent when I see it. The fact that you're also a person of integrity is a bonus. Walter's eyes are serious. I don't mix business with sentiment, Viola. This offer is because you're the right person for the job. Viola leaves the Griffin Media building in a daze, the offer letter tucked safely in her bag. She's asked for 48 hours to consider, not because she needs time to decide, but because accepting immediately felt too much like a fairy tale. Too good to be true. Her phone buzzes with a text from Zoe. "Urgent! Craig on Warpath, where are you?" Viola returns to Pinnacle after her flight lands, hoping to slip in quietly. No such luck. Craig stands by her desk, arms crossed. "So nice of you to join us, Viola. Enjoy your trip?" "Craig, I can explain." "No need. Your absence yesterday made things perfectly clear." His smile is cold. "Pack your things. You're done here." Viola stares. "You're firing me? For missing one day?" "For a pattern of unreliability. For prioritizing outside opportunities over your commitments here." He drops a folder on her desk. "HR has your final paperwork. Security will escort you out." The injustice burns, but Viola maintains her composure as she packs her belongings under the watchful eye of a security guard. Colleagues avoid eye contact, all except Zoe, who slips her a note. "Call me later." Outside, the Chicago afternoon feels surreal. Fired. After 5 years of exemplary work, overnight success evaporates into unemployment. She should call Walter immediately, accept his offer before Craig poisons that well, too. Her phone rings, an unknown number with a San Francisco area code. "Hello? Viola Richardson? This is Veronica Dale from Cortland Media. Mr. Westfield asked me to follow up regarding your situation." "My situation?" "We received word from Craig Donovan at Pinnacle that you were terminated for professional misconduct. Given these circumstances, we'll have to withdraw our interest in your candidacy." Viola's blood runs cold. "That's not accurate. I'm sure you have your side of the story. However, Cortland values reliability and professional ethics. Good luck with your future endeavors." The call ends. Viola stands frozen on the sidewalk, mind racing. Craig must have called Westfield immediately after firing her. But how would he know about her Griffin offer? She calls Walter's number, but gets his voicemail. "Walter, it's Viola. There's been a complication. Please call me back as soon as possible." That evening, Zoe meets her at a coffee shop near Viola's apartment. "Craig's been planning this for months," Zoe says, sliding a printed email across the table. "I forwarded this to myself before leaving." The email, dated 3 months ago, is from Craig to Melanie Woods, Pinnacle's executive director. Richardson promotion consideration. "Melanie, while Viola's work is adequate, I have concerns about her leadership potential. She struggles with client-facing responsibilities and lacks the executive presence necessary for advancement. I recommend we consider other candidates for the creative director track." Viola reads it twice. This was right after the Elysian campaign, the one that brought in 3 new clients. "Exactly. And there's more. After you left, the Brightwave client called asking specifically for you. Craig told them you'd quit without notice." That's a blatant lie. Viola's hands tremble with anger. "He's been undermining you for years, Viola, taking credit for your successes, blaming you for failures, keeping you from client contact." Zoe looks around nervously. "I could lose my job for telling you this. I appreciate the risk you're taking. Someone needed to tell you the truth. Craig saw you as a threat, talented, black, female, everything he's not but wishes he was." Viola tries calling Walter again. Still no answer. The next morning, Viola attempts to reach out to contacts at other agencies. Most don't return her calls. One former colleague is brutally honest. "Word's going around that you're difficult to work with. Craig's been telling people you abandoned clients and stole proprietary information." Her email to Walter remains unanswered. Calls to Griffin Media are deflected by gatekeepers who won't put her through. 3 days after her firing, Viola's bank account notification pops up. $342.80 remaining. Rent is due in 1 week. Her phone rings. Daniel Westfield from Cortland. Ms. Richardson, I felt I should call personally. Mr. Westfield, I've spoken with Craig Donovan at length. He shared some concerning information about your professional conduct. Whatever he told you, he mentioned you've been in talks with Griffin Media, using our interview as leverage for a position there. Viola's mind reels. How could Craig know about Griffin? That's completely false. We're a small industry, Miss Richardson. People talk. I've already spoken with Walter Griffin's executive team. They were quite surprised to hear about your creative approach to job hunting. The pieces click into place. Craig must have connections at Griffin. He's poisoned both wells. Mr. Westfield, I can explain. No need. I wish you luck, but I'd suggest a different career path. Advertising requires trust. He hangs up. Viola sinks onto her couch, the full weight of her situation crashing down. Her career is in tatters. Her savings nearly depleted. Walter's offer has vanished. Craig has somehow managed to destroy everything she's worked for in just a few days. She picks up her grandmother's photo. What would you do, Grandma? How did you keep going when they tried to stop you? As she sets the photo down, her fingers brush against a small bump at the back of the frame. Curious, she removes the backing and finds a folded paper tucked behind the photograph. A letter, yellowed with age, in her grandmother's handwriting. The letter is addressed to "My dearest Esther," dated April 1964. Viola reads, confused. Esther? Walter's wife? Your husband's photographs made all the difference. The school board saw themselves through his lens, saw what they were allowing to happen, and finally acted. The principal apologized today. I have a real classroom now, not the converted storage room. The other teachers are still cold, but the children are wonderful. Walter's pictures told the truth when my words couldn't. Viola sits very still, connecting dots. Walter's wife, Esther, had been friends with her grandmother. His civil rights photographs had helped Eleanor keep her teaching position. She reaches for her grandmother's keepsake box, searching through old photos and documents until she finds a small leather-bound journal. Eleanor's diary from 1963 to 64. The entries detail her daily struggles as the school's first black teacher and her friendship with Esther Griffin, who'd introduced her to E's husband Walter, the photographer who's documenting our fight. One entry catches Viola's eye. Walter showed his photos to the Tribune editor today. Craig Donovan refused to run them, said they were too inflammatory. Walter believes Donovan is afraid of losing advertising from businesses that support segregation. The struggle continues. Craig Donovan. Could it be related to her Craig? She flips through more pages, finding a newspaper clipping about Craig Donovan Sr., former Chicago Tribune editor, father of Craig Jr., a journalism student at Northwestern. Viola stares at the clipping in disbelief. Her Craig Donovan Jr., whose father had refused to publish Walter's civil rights photographs 6 decades ago. The son of the man who tried to silence her grandmother's story is now destroying her career. With renewed determination, Viola digs deeper, reading every entry in Eleanor's journal. She finds mentions of Walter's photography being acquired by museums, Esther and Eleanor's decades-long friendship, and, most surprisingly, references to Walter's early advertising work. Walter showed me his new ad campaign for Marshall Fields. He's pioneering what he calls documentary advertising, using real people instead of models. Esther says he's changing the industry. Viola searches online for Walter Griffin documentary advertising and finds scholarly articles about his revolutionary approach in the 1960s and 70s. One article mentions Griffin Media's origins as a small photography studio that grew into an advertising agency, then a media empire. She reads until dawn, formulating a plan. The Chicago Advertising Federation's annual gala is that evening, the industry's biggest networking event. Craig will be there, along with every major player in Chicago advertising. Viola wasn't planning to attend, but now she has a purpose. She retrieves her grandmother's gold pen and Eleanor's journal, then makes one stop before the gala, her mother's house. "Mom, do we still have Grandma's old photos in the attic?" 3 hours later, Viola walks into the Drake Hotel's grand ballroom, wearing her grandmother's vintage 1960s cocktail dress, elegantly tailored black silk with a single strand of pearls. Heads turn as she makes her entrance. Craig stands near the bar, champagne in hand, holding court with a group of executives including Daniel Westfield from Cortland. Their conversation stops abruptly when they notice Viola. "Viola," Craig recovers quickly, false smile in place. "Brave of you to show up." "I wouldn't miss it," she replies calmly, then turns to Westfield. "Mr. Westfield, I believe we have unfinished business." Westfield looks uncomfortable. "Ms. Richardson, I don't think you should hear what I have to say. Both of you." Her voice carries just enough to attract attention from nearby groups. "Unless you'd prefer I share my discoveries with the entire room." Reluctantly, they follow her to a quiet corner. "I know why you're so determined to destroy my career, Craig." Viola opens Eleanor's journal. "It's not just about me. It's about history repeating itself." She shows him the entries about his father. 60 years ago, your father refused to publish Walter Griffin's photographs documenting my grandmother's struggle as a black teacher facing discrimination. Now you're continuing his legacy by undermining me at every turn." Craig's face pales. "That's absurd. This has nothing to do with race? With family history?" Viola turns to Westfield. "Did Craig tell you he fired me for missing one day of work after I saved a man's life? A man who happens to be Walter Griffin?" Westfield's eyes widen. "Walter Griffin? The Walter Griffin? The very same. The man whose company owns Cortland Media." Viola lets that sink in. "Craig has been systematically sabotaging my career for years, taking credit for my work while ensuring I stay in a subordinate position." Craig's face reddens. "You can't prove any of that." "Actually, I can." Viola nods toward the entrance where Zoe stands with a USB drive. "Zoe has copies of every email where you took credit for my work, every presentation of mine you claimed as your own, and every evaluation you tampered with." As Craig sputters denials, a distinguished figure appears behind him. Walter Griffin, leaning slightly on a cane, with Marcus at his side. "Ms. Richardson," Walter says, "I believe you've been trying to reach me." The room quiets as people recognize Walter. Craig turns, shock evident on his face. "Mr. Griffin," Viola says, "I was beginning to think you were avoiding me." "Quite the contrary. I've been in New York, unavailable due to a medical follow-up. My assistant should have informed you." Walter eyes Craig coolly. "I see you've met Craig Donovan Jr. His father and I have history." Craig attempts a recovery. "Mr. Griffin, it's an honor. I'm a great admirer of your work." "Are you? Interesting, considering you've been systematically undermining the career of Eleanor Richardson's granddaughter." Walter removes a leather journal from his jacket, identical to the one Viola holds. "Esther kept her own journal of those years. She documented everything, including your father's attempts to silence our work." Walter turns to Viola. "I owe you an apology. I should have made the connection earlier. When you missed your flight to help me, I didn't immediately realize you were Eleanor's granddaughter. It wasn't until I returned home and saw her photograph that it clicked." He hands her the journal. "The past and present are connected in ways we sometimes fail to recognize. Your grandmother's courage changed Chicago schools. Your kindness saved my life." Viola accepts the journal with trembling hands. "Thank you, but I still don't have a job." Walter smiles. "That's why I'm here. My offer stands. Improved, actually. Executive Vice President of Creative Strategy, Griffin Media Group, starting immediately." Craig interjects. "Mr. Griffin, I feel I should warn you about Ms. Richardson's professional conduct." "Mr. Donovan," Walter cuts him off, "I suggest you stop talking. My security team has already removed your personal items from your office at Pinnacle. My office? You can't. Griffin Media acquired Pinnacle Creative last month. The paperwork was finalized yesterday. You're terminated, effective immediately. 6 weeks later, Viola sits in her new corner office overlooking Lake Michigan. The wall behind her desk displays a striking black and white photograph. Eleanor Richardson walking proudly into her school, head high despite the protesters lining her path. Walter had given her the original print, professionally framed. Her assistant knocks on the open door. Your 2 o'clock is here. Send them in. Zoe enters, looking nervous in her interview suit. Zoe, sit down. Viola gestures to the chair across from her desk. How are things at Pinnacle? Different. Better, actually. The new creative director is making real changes. Good to hear. Have you thought more about my offer? After Craig's termination, Viola had learned that several other talented employees at Pinnacle had been similarly undermined. Her first act as executive VP was to identify those individuals for potential recruitment. I have, Zoe says. And yes, I'd love to join your team at Griffin. Excellent. We'll start the paperwork today. Viola hands her a folder. Your new title will be Senior Creative Strategist. The salary details are inside. Zoe opens the folder, her eyes widening. This is double my current salary. It's what you're worth, Viola smiles. What you've always been worth. After Zoe leaves, Viola's phone rings. Viola Richardson. Ms. Richardson, Daniel Westfield from Cortland Media. Viola straightens. Mr. Westfield, what can I do for you? I'm calling to apologize. My judgment was clouded by my relationship with Craig Donovan. I should have verified his claims about you. Yes, you should have. We have a major campaign launching next quarter. The team would value your input if you're willing. I'll have my assistant schedule a meeting. Viola keeps her tone professional. And Mr. Westfield, in the future, remember that excellence speaks for itself, regardless of who delivers it. After hanging up, Viola walks to the window, reflecting on the whirlwind of the past 2 months. Craig Donovan has been blacklisted throughout the industry, his pattern of theft and discrimination finally exposed. The Pinnacle creative team, now under Griffin Media, is thriving with new leadership. Walter has become a mentor and friend, sharing stories of Chicago's history and Eleanor's impact. Most surprisingly, her grandmother's journals and Walter's photographs have been acquired by the Chicago History Museum for a special exhibition on education and civil rights. Her intercom buzzes. Ms. Richardson, your mother and Loretta are here. Viola greets them warmly in the reception area. Ready for lunch? Look at you, her mother says proudly. Executive Vice President. Your grandma would be so proud. She'd be prouder of how you got here, Loretta adds. Not just your success, but how you achieved it. With integrity. As they walk through the Griffin Media offices, Viola notices employees straightening at their desks, offering genuine smiles. Respect, not fear. The culture she's helping to build. In the elevator, Loretta asks, Have you heard about Craig Donovan? No, what about him? Word is he can't get hired anywhere, not even in New York or L.A. His reputation is ruined. Viola considers this. I don't take pleasure in his downfall, but actions have consequences. Speaking of consequences, her mother says as they exit the building, Walter mentioned he's establishing a scholarship in Eleanor's name for Black students pursuing education or communications degrees. He told me yesterday. It's a $5 million endowment. Outside, Chicago's summer sunshine bathes Michigan Avenue in golden light. Viola pauses, taking in the moment. Her salary has quadrupled. She's closed on a condo in Hyde Park. Her career trajectory has leaped forward by a decade, all because she missed a flight to help a stranger. Kindness isn't charity, she thinks, remembering Eleanor's words. It's humanity recognizing itself in others. 1 year later, Viola stands at the podium accepting the Chicago Advertising Federation's Executive of the Year award. The ballroom of the Drake Hotel, the same room where her confrontation with Craig occurred, is filled with industry leaders, all on their feet applauding. "Thank you," she begins, placing her grandmother's gold pen beside the award. "A year ago, I stood in this room facing what seemed like the end of my career. Today, I'm here because one simple choice, to help someone in need, revealed a path I couldn't have imagined." She glances at Walter in the front row, now fully recovered and beaming with pride. Under Griffin Media's new diversity initiative, we've hired over 30 talented professionals from underrepresented backgrounds. Our campaigns have won 7 national awards for innovation and cultural relevance. But our greatest achievement isn't measured in awards or revenue. It's measured in the lives we've changed. The screen behind her displays photographs of the mentorship program she established, pairing industry veterans with young creatives from disadvantaged communities. "My grandmother Eleanor used to say that excellence is the entrance fee, but they might still try to charge you double." Laughter ripples through the crowd. What she didn't tell me was that sometimes the door you're meant to walk through isn't the one you've been knocking on. Viola looks out at the faces watching her, colleagues, competitors, friends, family. "I missed a flight that day at O'Hare not because I was trying to be heroic, but because I couldn't walk away from someone in need. That simple human instinct, to help rather than turn away, connected me to a history I didn't know I was part of, to opportunities I couldn't have foreseen." She lifts her award, catching the light. "Kindness isn't a detour from success. Sometimes it's the only road that leads there." After the ceremony, a young woman approaches Viola near the bar. "Ms. Richardson, I'm Jordan Taylor. I just started in the industry and your speech really moved me." "Thank you, Jordan. Are you enjoying your work so far?" "Honestly, it's harder than I expected. I'm often the only black woman in the room, and sometimes I wonder if I should just quit." Viola studies her. "Do you have a card?" Jordan fumbles in her clutch, producing a business card. Viola writes her personal email on the back of her own card. "Send me your portfolio. And don't quit. The industry needs your voice more than you need its approval." As Jordan walks away, Walter joins Viola, champagne glasses in hand. "Another admirer?" "Another Eleanor," Viola replies. "Needing someone to hold the door open." Walter smiles. "You know, when I fell ill at that airport, I thought it was just bad luck. Now I see it differently." "How so?" "Some things are more than coincidence. Your grandmother and Esther's friendship. Your kindness that day. This past year." He raises his glass. "To doors we didn't know existed." Viola clinks her glass against his. "And to the courage to walk through them." Has your act of kindness ever led to unexpected rewards? Share your story in the comments, because in a world that often tells us looking out for ourselves is the only way forward, we need reminders that sometimes the greatest opportunities arrive precisely when we put others first. If you enjoyed Viola's journey from sacrifice to triumph, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Beat Stories for more compelling narratives that inspire, challenge, and move you. Each week, we bring you carefully crafted stories of resilience and redemption that stay with you long after the video ends. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a new upload, because the next story might be exactly what you need to hear today. Join our growing community of storytelling lovers where kindness wins and underdogs rise.
Behind every headline is a human story. At Beat Stories, we go deeper, where emotion meets evidence and drama reveals the system. If this story made you pause, reflect, or feel something, don't forget to subscribe. There's more to come.